So how do you, when you have patients that come to you and they're having difficulty sleeping?
Well, without doing hypnosis, I'm always going to take a good inventory of their lifestyle to see what they might be doing. They might be inadvertently acting as an impediment to them sleeping well.
So what's bad?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things people are doing. First of all, if you're eating late at night, that's not a good thing, especially meat. Animal fat will take about 3 hours to digest. So if you want to fall asleep at 11 p.m., you should finish eating by 11, or forego the meat and eat some beans and seeds or nuts and vegetables or, or fruits, something like that. Caffeine will take 8 to 12 hours to metabolize, so having any of that in the afternoon is still going to be in your system when you wish to fall asleep.
8 to 12 hours.
Many are sedentary, and by not moving every day, your body is not going to sleep as deeply. I mean, early humans would do 3 hours a day of exercise, and they felt great all day, and then they slept deeply. And then a big mistake that we're making is that we're really exposed to light too late at night. I'm always asking every client, what are they doing 1 hour before they want to go to sleep? To see if they're doing anything that's inadvertently having an impact. And many, about 90% or more, are looking at screens, a computer screen or a TV, What happens, though, is that light, an hour before you go to sleep, it's going to stimulate your pineal gland and suppress melatonin. So it's tricking the brain to thinking it's the afternoon when it's been dark for many hours. So for 20 years of my practice, I would always recommend to anybody who wants to fall asleep faster and sleep deeper, 1 hour before you go to sleep would be a better time to listen to music, listen to an audio book or a podcast or a TED Talk without looking at the screen, or read, but illuminate what you're reading with a candle or a soft book light so your eyes aren't taking any light in.
Makes a lot of sense, right.
And to expand on that, 8 years ago or so, I discovered this company called Photonic Developments that took the science and the research that revealed it's just the blue wavelength within the light spectrum that stimulates the pineal gland, suppressing melatonin.
Oh, really?
They make these natural sleep aids, which is the only thing I even sell in my entire practice. I have both of them with me now. One is a simple amber-colored light bulb.
And what color does that turn when you put it on?
Well, it's like an orange, amber-colored. There's no blue pigment coming through. And this would be the only light you'd want on 1 hour before you want to go to sleep to illuminate anything you want to see.
Okay, so you can read by this?
Fantastic. Our daughters, since they've been born, the only light that they know of close to bedtime, probably half an hour before we go get them to bed, is this kind of light. Wow. So we would read to them with this light. My wife would breastfeed when they were babies with this light. When they go into the bathroom, this light would be one of the lights they'd have on when they brush their teeth just before they go to bed. We would bring this wherever we go on vacations. And then they also make these glasses that if you had to look at a computer or a TV or you need a light on to navigate your home 1 hour before you want to go to sleep, you could wear these glasses and they'll block the blue wavelength and you'll maximize melatonin and you'll fall asleep faster and you'll sleep deeper. And they work.
That seems so amazingly simple to find the problem and very scientific. You can't fall asleep with the serotonin. And then you get something to block, and they found out it was just the blue light.
Yep.
That's wonderful. How do people get these?
Well, in my practice, I loan them to my clients first. And the company sells them for $80 or $9 to get shipped. I will sell them only after my clients borrow them until I see them a week and a half later for their second session, and then they tell me they want it. About 2 out of 3 people keep them. And of the 1 out of 3 that don't, it's usually because they are just going to modify their behavior and just not look at screens. That's the takeaway they get from my conversation with them, or they'll use that bulb instead to read. But they work. I've been using these things myself for about 8 years now. And if I'm going to add new content to my website to the last possible minute, I have those glasses on, and I'm able to just shut off the computer and go right to sleep. And I know what would happen if I didn't have that on. I would be working later. And it's a mistake that so many people are doing, and they don't even understand that they could fall asleep faster, they could sleep deeper. Even if they're not presenting with that challenge, they're not sleeping as efficiently. They're never going to sleep as deeply. And it's kind of like foreplay for sleep. You want to just allow yourself to have melatonin flow naturally. And it's a good thing.
Very, very fascinating. And so I know that, when you're younger, you need more sleep, and when you're older, you don't need as much. What are the numbers?
Okay, well, infants, are going to need a lot of sleep, okay? So they might need 12 hours sleep at night. Maybe it's consolidated, maybe it's not, and an additional hour and a half or so. When they become a toddler, they're going to need 12 hours, which could be 10 and a half at night, and then an hour and a half nap in the middle of the day. That works for a lot. Once you get to the age around six or maybe even 5, depending on the individual, you'll need 10 and a half hours.
Still. Yeah.
Teenagers, well, around 11 or 12, they'll get by with 9 hours. And typically, adults until you're 24 years old, you're still going to need 9 hours. Adults past 24 frequently need 9 hours, but we typically need 7.5 hours after that. And we're not getting it. We're just not getting it.
It's just, I can imagine it makes everybody's life less efficient.
Oh yeah.
Because you're not at your optimal capacity.
Employers are getting this now, and when I do my corporate wellness seminars, I'm always impressing upon the HR department and the management there that whatever you could do to allow your workforce to come in better rested, it's going to be a wonderful thing for you. First of all, they're going to be healthier, so they're going to have lower health care costs and premiums. It's going to be less absenteeism. They're going to get sick less. If they get sick, they're going to recover faster because they're going to have a stronger immune system. And the smart companies are being flexible now. Like, they're going to ask some of their employees, like, where are you commuting from? How long does it take you to get in? I know the job is starting at 8:30 and finishing at 4:30, but would 9:30 to 5:30 be better for you? And if the company is different, then you should always be looking out for your employees because they're going to be happier. They're going to like working for you more.
Right, and they're going to be more effective.
Yeah, and a lot of times people are working at home too.
Right.
I mean, the commute time, the average I think in this country is about 35 minutes, but many people are taking well over an hour to come in, and they're exhausted coming in, they're just not feeling good all day, and then they're driving home exhausted, and that's dangerous.
That is, yeah, so many people falling asleep at the wheel. Isn't that one of the #1 killers?
Yes. More so than driving while intoxicated is driving while exhausted.
Exactly.
And it would be great if we can measure
exhaustion.
Yeah, it's doable. We should do that.
Yeah, it'd be nice as the police, but usually by the time you talk to the police, you're pretty wide awake. Yeah. Okay, and is it possible to sleep too much?
Yeah, sometimes, especially if people are going through depression, they're sleeping longer than they should be, and they don't want to face the world and they want to stay in bed too long. And yes, people can sleep too long, but generally the challenge we have is that people are not getting enough sleep. Okay. And one way of knowing is, do you use an alarm clock? That's the question I ask everybody. Do you use an alarm clock to wake up? And if they're reporting that they are, then you know that they're not getting enough sleep, because whatever time they would wake up in the absence of an alarm clock is how much sleep they need. It's not like a negotiable thing. And then you'll see them often sleeping longer on weekends to make up for it. And you can never make up for that sleep deficit. You could just get more sleep on those other days, and so those other days, Saturday and Sunday, you feel better. And unfortunately, when you need to be most sharp and focused and alert during the week for your job, you're not. And then on the weekends, you're sleeping longer, and you're going to be more on, but you're not performing on those weekends.
Right. Oh. It just doesn't make any sense. And if you can just get people to listen to this. I mean, it's lucky that when you see people, you said 2/3 of them pick up the habits or use the glasses. Right. Is there anything someone can do? I mean, with the hypnosis, because I came to see you, actually I came to see Jeffrey when I was having sleep problems. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, as I told you, and you put me into a trance, and the next day I slept till 1:3 in the afternoon.
Very good.
After waking up at like 3 o'clock in the morning for hours every day. So, I mean, what if people, as a hypnotist, how can you help people with their sleep issues?
Well, in a hypnotic state, when we're more suggestible, we're more receptive to suggestions, making suggestions that one could just fall asleep fast, sleep deeply, and relax, it's going to be helpful. Usually I'm going to make suggestions with the hypnosis that one can shelf the day's concerns, put it away, so they don't have to be thinking about that, and that they could just feel so drowsy, so calm, so comfortable, they can't help but fall asleep and sleep deeply. So it's the power of suggestion in hypnosis. Because a lot of people have a lot of things racing on their mind all
Right.
the time. They're not always negative thoughts. They just, because sometimes it could be happy things, you know, a new job, and they're thinking about such wonderful things, or a vacation. But usually it's something that's negative, or they're ruminating about something, you know, the past, because they're not dealing with those issues during the day.
Right.
You know, because during the day you could have other things that you're doing. You're working, you're playing with your kids, you're with your family, you're on a date, you're dancing and doing or watching movies. But then later on, then you want to relax, you want to go to sleep. You might be tired, but now those thoughts are creeping up. So I help people to be able to control those thoughts, to make them more positive, put the day, you know, day's concerns away, and just relax, and help people to cope better during the day with stress too. Because if you're coping better during the day, you're going to sleep better at night.
That's also a very interesting point, right? If you're not stressed out, you'll be able to
Right.
calm down at the end of the day easier. That is very good. So tell me, like, when a person comes in and meets with you, walk me through a session, if they say, because clearly it worked for me, but are people, I mean, when they come to you and they say that they have a trouble falling asleep, I mean, you can give them the amber light and the glasses.
Well, I ask them a lot of questions. Before they
Okay.
even come in, they're given a lengthy intake form via email.
Okay.
So I know about their health habits. So I know about their caffeine consumption and sugar and exercise and alcohol and water and their sleep habits too.
Right.
And I go over each one of those things one by one, and I use as a metaphor, working with every client, that an artist working with a piece of clay can mold beautiful pieces of artwork and can make marvelous sculpture. But if that clay is too wet, you don't get things to stick. So that's why I always like to go beyond the tool of hypnosis to help people to achieve their goals. I want to see if there's anything inadvertently acting as an impediment to that. So as far as sleep is concerned, I already covered a couple of those things. Eating late at night is not a good thing.
Right.
Even drinking 1 drink of alcohol within 3 hours of going to sleep is not a good thing. It's a sedative, it'll help knock you out, it's a relaxant, but it's going to make for more wakeful sleep. It's going to interfere with that REM sleep. So you're never going to be as well rested on 1 drink, even worse if you have more than 1 drink.
And that's funny, because it does make you tired, but you don't sleep.
You're not going to sleep as well. 1
Right.
could be okay, and just more than 1, usually it's going to be worse. And also, we're not exercising enough. 2 out of 3 Americans are far deficient in exercising, and that's a problem. You know, we're just like other mammals. We would be normally moving around all the time, and then at night you'd fall asleep. I know for myself, when I sleep the deepest, absolute deepest, is when I got a lot of exercise in. And I exercise every day, but I'm talking if I did 3 hours of swimming in the ocean, that my sleep is just so phenomenal the next day, and you feel great.